The truth is, I have often wondered, what do I really have to say? And who would listen to me? Each time I have considered doing solo casts or speaking just on a topic that I'm truly passionate about, a lot of vulnerability has crept in. And my monkey mind often likes to jump in and ask what ifs. So there are a lot of questions that would cross my mind, as I mentioned. Like, what do I have to say? Who would listen to me? What if I... And then the list goes on. Namaste, beautiful souls. I'm Shilpa, and you're tuned into the Omni Mindfulness podcast, a sanctuary for spiritual entrepreneurs. As a holistic mindfulness coach and social marketing strategist, I'm here to guide you on a transformative journey. On this show, we explore captivating stories and provide practical tools that deepen your connection with your authentic self. Through the personal and professional narratives of remarkable individuals, we expand our consciousness and ignite the spark of possibility. Each season, I curate content that empowers you to create a holistic lifestyle encompassing spirituality, mindfulness, energy awareness, and mindset. Join me as we engage in conversations with experts in their respective fields and share solo casts from yours truly, all aimed at supporting you and relaxing, revitalizing, resetting your body, mind, and spirit. I'm your host and the visionary behind Omni Mindfulness. So what if just one story had the power to shift the trajectory of your life? What if you could become an instrument in helping others realize their true selves? And what if your soul's higher purpose lies in experiencing the joy of Omni Mindfulness? Remember, it's never too late to rewrite your story. Welcome, dear souls, to my newest solo podcast for this month on the theme of elevating your soul's message. The topic for this particular solo cast is on finding my voice as a podcaster. Have you ever listened to someone share their truth or story and felt inspired? Inspiration often strikes in the most unexpected moments. For me, it came during a peaceful walk to the pond with my son Omni. During this particular stroll, while we enjoyed fresh air, my mind was filled with a sense of anticipation. When we arrived at the pond, I found myself sitting on this large rock. I could see the reflection of the rock into the pond, and I'll remember that moment very vividly most of my life. I was watching my son play near the water's edge, and it was a very tranquil moment when I then decided, you know what, I'm ready to put on my earbuds and hit play. So a little bit of backstory is that earlier that day, I had just received a message from my friend Tanya. Tanya is a fellow meditation life coach. We went through the same certification program during COVID, and after our training had ended, she had launched her very first podcast. And she sent me a message about the episode and asked if I'd like to listen to it. The name of her podcast is Compassionate Mindfulness with Xenia. Her podcast's introduction alone had me captivated. Her beautiful, raspy voice, well, maybe it's not so raspy, but she has that presence, that podcast voice is what I call it. So her voice, her story, both were so powerful. And her raw authenticity and message just left me in awe. Having practiced ethnographic research in the early years of my career, I'd always felt an affinity for drawing out stories from others through interviews. Now, for those of you who may be like, ethnographic research, it doesn't matter. All it means is that there is a way you can elicit information from people through interviews so that you qualitatively understand the context and the pain points and the wins and the I would say the ways in which people have overcome challenges. And for me, during that period of my life when I used to practice this thing called ethnographic research, I would often be drawn deeper into the stories of those people who were sharing their journey, whatever that context was. So upon listening to Tanya, I thought, you know what? There's something that's being sparked in me here. So that day at the pond, as I finished listening to Tanya's first episode, the storyteller in me was sparked. I wondered if I too could be instrumental in creating inspiration through the art of sharing narratives. I asked myself, could I find my voice to share stories of others in that same compelling way? Fast forward months later, I would join Tanya in co-hosting a joint podcast, and soon go solo as the host of my own podcast, Omni Mindfulness, named after my son, Omni. In those months since hitting record for my podcast, I've learned a lot. And my ability to engage with an audience and guest has, I believe, improved. And actually, I cringe listening to those first several episodes for multiple reasons. But we all need to start somewhere, right? And what I've learned through this podcasting journey is that the hardest part for me wasn't about drawing the stories out from others. It was in finding the courage to insert my own narratives into the mix. And this is essential, though. It is essential to be able to bring in your own personality and the stories that make you the authentic you through your own narratives. I believe it is vital to insert our narratives to truly create an embodied bond with others. But here's the truth. I have rarely recorded solo podcasts and spoken on topics relying just on my own voice to share my feelings or thoughts. And the truth is, I have often wondered, what do I really have to say? And who would listen to me? Each time I have considered doing solo casts or speaking just on a topic that I'm truly passionate about, a lot of vulnerability has crept in. And my monkey mind often likes to jump in and ask what ifs. So there are a lot of questions that would cross my mind, as I mentioned. Like, what do I have to say? Who would listen to me? What if I... And then the list goes on. Hey there, sweet souls. If you're finding value in this episode, I'd be so honored if you could take a moment to share it with that one person you know it would truly serve. And here's some exciting news. My podcast, Omni Mindfulness, was recently ranked in the top 10% globally by Listen Score. It's all thanks to your amazing support and listenership. So let's spread the love and wisdom together. Thank you for being a part of my mindfulness community. Sending you lots of love and light. This is Shilpa. However, my heart and soul has been put into each and every episode. Each month, I curate content tailored to my audience's interests and concerns, all designed to create a bond that captivates attention. And while I could sense that my audience felt a bond with my guests through the power of storytelling, I honestly struggled with the feeling that this bond, although it could be created with my guests, could I use my voice to create a bond simply based on my own narrative and stories? Even now, after over 100 episodes of my own podcasts, I struggle to share narratives or parts of my story or who I am in terms of my own feelings and thoughts and opinions. Heck, it took me several writes and rewrites, several takes in recording my own podcast introduction. And each time you've listened to any solo casts, it's taken several takes at times. However, for 2024, I made a pact with myself to challenge myself to find my voice. So each month, I have found a topic where I go solo. Consciously created, consciously curated, with a ton of vulnerability. The hardest part of finding my voice was finding the courage to believe my voice could actually make a difference or an impact. I learned through this process that it's a journey, and I'm excited to continue sharing this journey with all of you. So stay tuned for more solo podcasts where we delve into topics that are close to my heart and where we explore the power of finding our voice together. As you embark on your own journey in finding your voice, consider these tips. My first tip is discover your why. Align with your purpose or dharma. For me, it was an inspiration sparked by my son Omni, which has led me to create Omni Mindfulness and understand that there's multiple ways in which each of us, omnipresent ways in which each of us can learn and grow and expand. But the power is in being mindful of our why. Tip number 2, embrace what I call the explorer mindset. View your journey as an ongoing exploration. Finding your voice isn't about reaching a destination, but about the adventure along the way. Tip number 3, courageously feel your feelings. In fact, lean into those emotions of enthusiasm and wonder. Let your feelings guide you rather than being held back by fear. And on that note, I also believe that when you lean into the enthusiasm, lean into that sense of joy, and you do attract more of that. Tip number 4, stay authentically you. Ground yourself in authenticity. Own it. Your voice is unique. You are unique. So honor it by staying true to yourself and resisting the urge to conform. And I have a lot more to say about that in a future episode, but let's just say I am aware that sometimes even being told to your face you're going against the grain is okay. It's okay. Tip number 5, cultivate fear resilience. As humans, we often do, almost often on a daily basis, go into this fight or flight mode, and it is probably an instinct put in to help us survive. However, now in a time of being a little more mindful and having tools to help you grow and expand, it's okay to acknowledge your fears, but don't let them hold you back. And again, I'm not saying this is easy. Allow yourself to develop the courage to face challenges head on and keep moving forward one step at a time. You're not alone. Tip number 6, practice self-inquiry. Take time for introspection. Dive deep into understanding yourself better, uncovering layers of your authentic self as you navigate your journey. And this does not need to be an exercise that feels esoteric. Each morning I wake up, and after a short meditation, which is my non-negotiable, I do take time for self-inquiry. And this includes specific things that really help with my mindset and shifting into a mind vibration is what I call it, a mind vibration level, so that you're vibrating on that feeling of feeling good. Like, what are my thoughts? What are my aspirations? What do I feel grateful for? And list it. It's okay to pause. It's okay to take time for this each morning. Tip number 7, trust the process. Remember that finding your voice is a journey, not a destination. Trust in yourself and the path you're on, knowing that growth and discovery are part of the process. So remember, finding your voice is not just about speaking up. It's about authentically expressing who you are and what you stand for. Each step you take brings you closer to discovering the power and impact of your unique voice. Namaste, sweet souls, and until next time, keep living authentically with your voice. Thanks for tuning in, sweet soul. If you've enjoyed this episode, I would be so grateful for your kind review on Apple Podcast. Simply click on the link in the show notes to leave your lovely feedback and uplift our spirits. Your support means the world to me and helps our show thrive. So please show me your love and continue to practice Omni Mindfulness.